Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of our deconditioning series. I am so excited to bring you this particular episode today because when I found our dear guest Maureen, I'm like, oh, this stuff is absolutely pivotal to your deconditioning journey if you feel called to go down this rabbit hole. And because I found it so intriguing, I'm like, no, we're going to shoot another episode and extend this series out longer. I don't care. So here we are. Maureen so graciously agreed to share her wisdom, her expertise in something that I think is absolutely genius. So without further ado, I'm going to call out the fabulous Maureen.
Hello.
Are you blushing?
Oh my God, you totally made me blush.
It's what I do.
Thank you. I feel so seen.
Well, hey, I only speak the truth. I saw you speaking and my jaw was on the floor. I'm like,
Oh, thank you.
oh my gosh, I need her on the show.
Oh,
So I'm very, very grateful and super excited that you have decided to grace us with your presence. So, yay.
oh my gosh. Well, I have to say the feeling is mutual. When you reached out, I may have done a happy dance. And I was so jazzed. I was like, oh my God, yes. Yes, absolutely. Please, can I give me a platform to nerd out about shadow work and human design? And I'm there. I'm there.
We're going to have a lot of fun. I have a feeling. Force synergy, it's happening. It's going to be a good old time. So, without further ado, so I can start showing everyone else why
Oh,
Maureen
yes.
is amazing. So, like we kind of hinted, and again, if you've been paying attention to our YouTube channel and our Instagram page, this particular edition is talking about shadow work and how you can combine that with human design. So, Maureen, my first question to you is, so what is your journey that basically brought you to like, huh, I can actually combine these two? Like, what was your just like, oh, like moment?
Well, you know what? It's not me who combines them. I actually had a wonderful, wonderful coach, Donna. She's amazing. Um, but really, what led me to shadow work was that I was in a dark place myself. Like, I didn't know how to get out of the funk that I was in. I left law enforcement in 2022. I was a Chicago police officer for 16 years.
I'm like, you just keep getting cooler by the minute. So continue talking.
Yeah. And, 2020 was not my finest year.
Mm.
Um, Unfortunately, my mother passed away very unexpectedly. And
Oh, I'm
then
so sorry.
thank you. And then 5 months later, my dog died. So I call it my country music year, like my country
Yikes.
song year. Literally anything in a country song that
Yes.
happened to me in 2020.
Oh.
And that was just, it broke me in a way that I had never been broken before.
Oh
And
no.
for 2 years, it I didn't even feel like I belonged in Chicago anymore, that every single thing that I had loved was taken away from me, and I didn't understand what I did wrong. Why did I have to go through all of that pain? So there was a decision made by the police department that I did not agree with, and fortunately, my mother had left my brother and I some money, and we were able to sell her house.
Mhm.
So when the city gave me an ultimatum, I said goodbye. And I moved across the country to Sedona.
Mhm.
And I I don't even know how I found the house I'm renting now. Like, it
Mhm.
is in Sedona proper. They let me have 2 pit bulls. I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was just kismet. It was perfect. And so I came to Sedona for 6 months. I cocooned because I didn't know how to, like, didn't know how
Mhm.
to live. And then I started, like, I had learned about human design and learned about gene keys, and it just, like, it felt right. And
Mhm.
then there were a couple of things that had happened that really just made me wonder if I made the right choice.
Mhm.
And I was like, listen, God, I really need a sign. I need like a signier sign of a sign.
It's like it's not obvious enough. It needs to smack me in the face.
Yeah, yeah. And I had just flown back from Chicago and I was on the little transport bus and I turned on Instagram and I saw Donna's advertisement for human design shadow training. I was not following her. I don't know how that got on my feed. I didn't even know about her.
Oh,
And
that's so
I,
crazy.
right? And I was just, my whole body just got tingly. I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I know I have to do it. And I sent her a message like, hi, I know you don't know me, but I really want to do this training. And it was like in 3 weeks. I know.
Oh,
Like you
that's
can't
fast.
make it up. You cannot make this up. And
Wow. It was meant to be.
I was all in. I was all in. From day one, I was all in. And it validated me. It made me feel like I wasn't crazy. And it gave me a reason to live because I didn't feel I didn't feel as weird. And it just, I couldn't help it. I fell in love. I fell in love. And this is what I want to do for people. I want people to feel that validation and that acceptance and that knowing that you are perfectly fine exactly the way that you are. You don't need
Preach.
like, oh my, like I'm just gonna cry. Like I won't be surprised if I start bawling. So I've got my
Just gonna
Kleenex. I'm
Yeah, I'm
ready.
like, we're transiting 35, 36. I'm emotionally defined, so you're probably amplifying some of that. So
Oh yeah,
all
I'm
the
on
good
fire.
stuff.
I'm on fire. It's totally fine. It's cool. It's cool. It's totally.
Very
But
great.
yeah, it is an obsession, but in like the best way. So yeah, that is the experience of why I do what I do.
Amazing. So,
Thank
what
you.
I want to know, so you kind of explained this already, but okay, so what exactly, absolute layman's term,
Mhm.
is shadow work? And how does that go together with human design? Like, what is that? Just give us the
Yes.
breakdown.
Okay, so when we think about the shadow is literally everything that we reject about ourselves. And we can even say that it's the pain that we have forgotten, it is the emotional heaviness. And our shadow was something that we needed to create in order to survive. And we it's almost like conditioning, but it's this survival mechanism. It's that part of ourselves that was like, oh shit, I still want to be here, right?
Mm,
I need to be this so that I can survive, so that I can get love, safety, and boundaries as a child. It's we do what we need to do in order to survive.
mhm.
So when we take this, it's good when we need it, but then we get older and those shadow tendencies like people pleasing, I don't know who else is familiar with that, but like there are so many things that we bring into adulthood that are detrimental, that are literally just coloring our entire world view.
Mm,
And what shadow work does is say, hey, you're not broken. You did what you needed to do to survive. So why don't we get in to that soil and just see what's there? Because like the gene keys say, every shadow contains a gift.
mhm.
And when we can look at our shadows and say, how is this happening to me? Right? How is this benefiting me? When we
Mhm.
can look at it with grace and love and compassion, we can take that shadow and we can turn it into something really beautiful.
I was gonna say, can it be like happening for me? Is that what you think?
100%. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God,
Not
yes.
happening to me, but for me. Yes, this is
Exactly.
an absolutely awful situation, but there's some good to this.
100%. And that literally, that is the hardest part about shadow work, because we have to change our perspective. We have to get out of the victim pattern that has been running our life subconsciously, right? Carl Jung says when we make the conscious, what is it? When we make the subconscious conscious, we treat it like I not see now I'm completely butchering that quote, even though I say it like
Ah,
every day.
it's all good. You're excited. It's fine.
I am a little excited. Oh, but Carl Jung has an amazing quote.
There you go. Just look him up. He has a quote about,
It's
yeah.
fantastic, right? Like, basically, our shadows come from our subconscious. Our subconscious
Mm,
rules 90 to 95% of the things that we do on a daily basis. If we consider that bad, then what are we saying about ourselves? How are we living? Are we really living in our authenticity if the things that control 95% of our lives we think are bad? I'm not about
just
that life.
say touche. Touche. I don't know what else to say other than touche.
So, yeah. Yes, there you go. Thank you.
Oh, there's the quote.
Yeah,
Our
until you make
backstage manager
thank
dropping those quotes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Making the show better one quote at a time.
I know. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Genius.
Wow. Yeah.
No, she's amazing. She's our magical projector. She comes on sometimes.
Ugh, I love projectors. I love them all. Who am I kidding? I don't. I can't.
They're all magical in their own
Everybody. I
magical ways.
know. That's why I
But
like.
she's like unicorn though.
Ooh,
She's an
ooh.
ego projector, so
Very nice.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm deviating from the show. Right. So the quote. So what I wanted to ask you next is,
Yes, ma'am.
so you already dropped a lot of like, oh my God, that's some food for thought. I never pondered it that way. You
Mhm.
say it that way, like, hmm. So what is your personal transformation when you started applying this to your own
Hmm.
life, that you're like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. This is
Okay.
working.
I mean, there's a million different, like, tiny little things, but I love talking about the big, like, first major realization that I had. So I, of course, so it has to do with love, right? Like, we're shocked. Are we shocked? We're not shocked. It's totally cool.
Hey,
So
love makes the world go round.
it does. So when I was in shadow training, we were invited to take a look at people's charts in our life that have meant a lot to us. So I started looking at my ex-boyfriends because I'm a glutton for punishment. Because that's what I
You were
do.
looking for answers.
I
You're
was.
looking
I
for
totally was.
answers.
100%.
You're,
I was
you know
like,
what? There's nothing wrong with that. I think most people do that. They're just like, I just want to know. Just
yeah.
want to know. You're fine. You're fine. You're in
So
good company.
I was okay. I looked up my ex-boyfriends, and I also looked up the charts of my mom and my dad.
Mhm.
Now, my parents divorced when I was very young. My father was a 3-5 ego manifester
Oh my.
with right.
Ooh.
What I had noticed was every single ex-boyfriend I had
Uh-oh,
has
here we go.
gate
Pattern.
has gate 51. I have gate 25.3 in my conscious Mercury. My father, his conscious sun was gate 51 because he was an April baby just like me. I was looking for the love of my father through my boyfriends. I was always looking to just I felt like I had to show my ex-boy I had to show every man that I loved that I was worthy of his love and his attention and his care and his touch.
Just gave me shivers.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
And just interjection,
yeah,
one of the crazy ideas I had for the show is to do something called relationship postmortems, where we did exactly what you talked about, but we would do it
yes,
through our own people. We just wouldn't use names because we don't want people to
sign
be
me up,
freaking out.
sign me
You
up,
want to come
sign
on?
me. Oh my
Great.
God,
Okay.
yes.
Because I'm like, hey, you learned stuff through your past.
Right?
As long as you're okay to dig there, right? Because we're specifically looking at relationships that didn't work out to see, like, how do you
100,
move
what can
forward?
we learn?
Okay,
What
so
can
I'm
we
not
learn?
crazy for having that idea.
Oh my
Yes.
God, no. Absolutely not.
Amazing.
So
We're gonna do it.
that, when I realized that, it changed me on a cellular level.
Of course.
Like I was like, "Oh my God, it all makes sense." And I have yet, after that realization, to attract a man with gate 51. Like there's no gate 51 anywhere. I have a lot of female friends that have gate 51, and we initiate each other like crazy, but in the most beautiful way, right? But like it was something like that. And man, once I realized that, and then I took a look at me and my mom's chart, and that like so much living through our shadows and expressing through our shadows. And I had harbored a lot of resentment towards my mother for a very unemotional childhood. Like, I was the only sacral generator in my household. My mother was a 3-5 emotional generator. My brother is a 4-1 emotional generator. And my grandmother was a 3-5 emotional generator.
Oh
I
wow.
lived in a house with all of that, and we did not speak emotion. We did not. My mother didn't start saying "I love you" to me until I got on the police force, and she made me call her every day to make sure that I was still alive. That was at 26 years old, was like really the first time that my mom started saying "I love you."
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, some people don't even say it ever. So I guess there's that silver lining.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Even like my moon line. I know when I did the summit, I talked about the archetypes,
Hmm.
the trauma archetypes of your conscious moon. Mine is a 6, and that's the backstage manager. So often I am completely terrified to do something outside of my comfort zone. Like, oh no, I can't do that. Oh no. I'm not good enough. Like there's such a fear. And then I kind of push myself, and then I do things like this, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Actually, I had a lot of fun.
Right?
What? And it's just those things. And I see little bits and pieces of it throughout my life and throughout the experiences of my friends and my clients and my family that are interested in it. And I don't think shadow work needs to be feared. I
Mm.
just, to me, it is opening up a treasure chest of gifts that you didn't realize you gave yourself. But it's really just the fear of putting that key in and turning the lock. But once you do that, the world opens up for you in such a beautiful way that you cannot even comprehend. And that's what I want for people when I
I
do
was going to
this work.
say that was such a beautiful way to word it. So the next interesting thing is you mentioned some like "Ah!" moments, but I want to know, like, in your day to day, how are you like carrying yourself differently, or notice differences in how you think, or how you
Mhm.
like just do things.
So oh my God, that's so funny. Because the first thing that pops up for me is I'm very mindful about how I speak to people now. I have an undefined throat. I used to always do that. Wait, I got right. And now I just sit back. I literally sit back and wait for people to ask for my opinion. Because when people do that, they will pay attention to you. And it is so fascinating to see how people react when they're so used to you interjecting, and then you take that step back and you're like, you have the floor. I
Oh,
will not
that's so cool.
until until you recognize me and ask me for my opinion, I am just here to listen. So that's one of the big ways that I do it. And having a defined head in ajna does make me a little bit stubborn,
Just a wee bit.
just a little bit. But I'm definitely open to other people's perspectives. I absolutely used to be very, very just focused on what I believe, and
I was
that
gonna
is
say
that's
my
it.
way or the highway.
What, right? Oh my God. Yeah, I remember the Limp Bizkit song. Do you
I
remember
know I
that?
was singing that in my head, but I'm like copyright, so I'm not gonna do that.
Oh my God, yes. Let's do it. I was a teenager in the 90s, okay? Let's go there. I've
Right?
seen Limp
Same.
Bizkit in concert, okay?
No, you didn't. Oh, he's
With
such a
Fall Out
dirt bag.
Boy.
It was great.
Oh my God. And then I think Corn, oh my God, it was this big, oh my God. Yeah.
It was
Woo!
a thing. Oh my god, we're gonna be
It-
friends. It's like 90s babies.
oh
We're
my
gonna be
God.
friends.
I should send you my Spotify liked songs. It's like going right back in to the 90s.
I was just gonna say there is a great Spotify playlist that I found called 90s Road Trip.
Oh, yes.
Like,
Please.
I will send it to you. It is anyhow. Sorry, friends, for derailing. This is hard when you really, really enjoy the conversation. But that is fabulous. So now the next thing I want to know is what are
Mhm.
like the main misconceptions, right? Because again,
Yes.
shadows, scary, like, oh, is it witchcraft? Like, do you need a lock of my hair? Like,
No, but I
illuminate
will take
us.
your money. I will take your money. I don't need your hair though.
Hey, unless it's like the really nice virgin hair that's undyed, and then you can like, make wigs with it and sell it
Oh,
to people. But anyways,
I know, right? I'm like, don't give me that
I was
idea.
gonna be like, I'm giving you some. This is a manifestor giving you like initiating ideas that you do not have to take.
I know, but I love it. I just the inspiration
Right?
of a manifestor always like I don't know. I have a soft spot. I do.
Really? Well, that's the
You know
nicest
what?
thing I've heard all day.
You know what? And it's so and it's I almost and I don't want to say this out of like disrespect, but I feel like I love the underdog, right? 38 is my moon, okay? Love me an underdog. Love me an
Mm.
underdog. Manifestor's only 9%. I'm going to love you even more. I'm going to love you even more because there's not that many of you. Y'all need a hug.
Just
It's
like
just
we almost like most of us are very angry. Just like
right. I'll give you a
hugging
nice
an
shoulder
angry cat.
massage. It'll be great. I have one of those things that massages your head. It'll
Oh, I use those in the shower. I have
amazing.
a brush for it. It's so good. Anyways, sorry.
That's okay.
Misconceptions. Back to the
Focus. Focus, focus, focus.
regular programming.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry, our editor.
you know what? I think that the biggest misconception is that shadow work is scary. And
Ah.
I think that, I mean, society wants us to believe that our shadows are scary
Mhm.
because what happens when you actually start becoming friends with those shadows, you become way more powerful than the powers that be want you to be. When you can think for yourself, you become a danger, right? And shadow
Mm.
work says, you don't need to look for validation outside of you. Everything you need is right here. Let me show you. Let me show you where you buried it. Let's dig that up, find the key, open it up and see the potential in all of these things that people have told you are bad about you.
I was gonna say it reminded me of a pirate's treasure map. It's like
Oh,
X marks
100%.
the spot. You just have to
100%.
go find it.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part. Now, another misconception about shadow work is that you have to I'm going to make you relive an unpleasant experience, which
It's like
is
re-traumatize
yeah,
yourself, and you're like,
I am
no, it was
not
not fun the first
re-victimizing a
time.
victim. No, 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 no. I am not re-victimizing a victim. You don't even have to know like what experience created the shadow. As long as you have the feeling, we can work with that. We can
Mm.
absolutely work with that. So I like to let people know that even though it sounds scary, to just try it, right? Just like Ross said, don't believe me, get into it yourself, see, and then you can make a decision. I don't want to force anybody into doing something they don't want to do. So I try where it's a gingerly, like, it's a very soft introduction, right? Because we have to trust each other, right? I wouldn't want to spill all my secrets to somebody I didn't trust. So
Unless you're just really that kind of person. I've done it. And then manifest or impact, they run away. They're like,
mhm,
that
yeah,
was too much. And I'm
yeah.
like, what did I do? It's like, oh, I word vomited all over someone who wasn't ready for it. Oops.
Well, I'd like to think that I have I know that I have a very happy and sunny personality, but I can also be very serious, and I want people to know that there's all these different sides of being able to work with the shadow, and I can I can turn on and off what I need, right? My cognition is feeling. I hear in your words what I need to do. Like you say I'm fine, but in the I hear the frequency of really what's happening behind those words. And I'm like, and
Right. It's just like you said, the backstage manager. They're like, we know what's up.
yeah.
We're running things, even though you can't see us.
Yes. Yes. So those are the two biggest ones I get, and I understand. I get it. 100%. And if you would have told me 3 years ago or even 4 years ago that this is what I would be doing, I'd be like, "You're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is what you are." Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. But now it's just like, "Oh my god, yes. Please. Yes."
Just like more, right?
Yeah.
Let's get
All
to the
day
good
every day.
stuff. So speaking of good stuff, so
Yeah.
Maureen is going to use herself as a guinea pig. Usually it's me who's the show guinea pig, but we didn't think that far ahead. So Maureen is going to be self-experimenting here today.
Yes.
So, what are some key things that um people should be noting? So, for example, I guess a way to make this feel like someone else can go along with the ride is again like
For sure.
have your chart handy
Yeah.
and follow along the way Maureen is explaining things is how
Mhm.
I would do this, right? So like what
Yeah.
would you say any additional things? There's like, hey, while I'm doing this, this is what you do with your own chart kind of thing.
Okay, so immediately my brain is going to what I lovingly call the trauma trail. It's a delightful, delightful
That
title
should
for
be our
things.
shirt. Join me on the trauma trail.
It's like the Oregon Trail, but for your trauma,
I
and
just
you
like
won't die of dysentery.
I was gonna be like the view is lovely. We won't stay long, I promise.
So, what I would invite people to do is to take a look at their conscious moon, their unconscious Mars, and their conscious Saturn and Pluto. So, are you gonna pull up my chart?
I'm gonna pull it up and all the
Perfect.
things. But yes, explain I guess you can explain during the demo why and what that means
Yeah.
and all the things, right? Is there
Yes.
anything else?
No. Not that I can think of, but I cannot guarantee when I start talking that there won't be more that comes out.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't know. It'll just be what
It's
it
just gonna
be.
happen.
It's just
It's
gonna
just
be
gonna
what it
happen.
be. So, and now we are going to do the demo, but again, this is a very different type of demo. So this is a more self-guided demo. But again, if you follow along with Maureen, you should be able to do
Mhm.
this for yourself. It's kind of what we want for the viewers, if that makes sense. Right?
Mhm.
Cool.
Yes.
So let's see if I am able to bring you up. Da-ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, here we go. Ta-da! And I am going to.
I was
Do you
like, "Oh,
want
that
me to?
looks familiar."
I was like, do you want me to stay here to pick your brain, or do you want to do your own
Oh
thing?
my god, no, pick my brain. Pick my brain, please.
Okay,
I That's
cool.
the best.
I
That's
will
the best.
hang out and I will pick your brain.
Okay.
So walk us through.
So the way that when we're doing shadow sessions, one thing that I like to remind people is that the shadows are in our definition
Mhm.
and our conditioning is in our openness.
Right.
So it's just I want to just say that really quick before I start like talking. So, one of the first things I look at is the conscious moon. I'm looking at that line because I know that this person, whatever the line is, that's going to be their automatic trauma archetype. So, I know with line 6, like we've talked about,
Mhm.
I have a tendency to refuse to shine my light because I am afraid to be ridiculed. So I want to be very cognizant of how I make decisions. Am I making a decision to say yes or no out of fear? Or is it my sacral? So I want to tap into that sacral because I'm sacral.
Of
So
course.
then what I want to do is I want to take a look at the actual gate, gate 38.
Right. Okay.
Gate 38 in the gene keys, because I love blending them because they're just delightful together.
Mhm.
It is the shadow of struggle. So, one of the things that when I'm doing that reading, I want to ask somebody, where do you feel like you have to struggle? Where do you feel like life cannot be easy for you?
Okay. So right here is where we want to look.
Yes.
So
So,
I
go
was going
ahead.
to say interjection. So you're
Yes, ma'am.
talking about 6. Now,
Mhm.
anyone can be anyone, anyone, everyone, my brain can be line 1 through 6. So let's
Yeah.
say they're not a 6. How would they know what their archetype is?
Well, if you would like, I can send you the moon lines,
Mhm.
and if you want, you can put that up for people when you post it. If you
I was going to say, throw that into the private chat and I'm going to share it with people in the comment section. So that way they can follow along and
you
all
know
the
what?
things.
Do you want me to go really quick over each 6 of the lines? Because it'll
That
take like
would
2
be
minutes.
fab.
Girl, let
Yeah.
me do that. Shh, let me do that. Okay. All right. So, if your conscious moon is a line 1, your trauma archetype is the protector. You use your mind to over investigate, to obsess, and to try to figure out the unknown. A lot of times, this is what's going to stop you from moving forward, right? That's a freeze, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That one line is very freeze. Like, oh shit, I need to know all of the
Oh.
answers or else I can't
I
move forward.
can't move forward. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm a line 1. I'm like, that tracks. But I'm
So,
not in it's not in my moon, but
mhm.
it's my profile line. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I know what that feels like.
Well, word on the street is that you can use these trauma archetypes on any one of your placements.
Ooh, now
What?
that's some transferable goodness that I
What?
am here for.
Okay, so number 2 is known as the talent. That
Mm.
potential trauma identity will overwork just to show and just to deny that they actually have talent.
They're trying to
Because
overcompensate.
yeah, you overcompensate, right? I'm a 2-4. Do you know how many times I try to work extra hard even though things are easy for me? I have to look like I'm really working. Oh, this is so hard. It's not. It's
Oh,
not.
that is wild. I
Yeah.
am gonna ask all the 2 4s I know if this is a thing they've done, or any line too,
Yes.
really. Oh, that's
So,
crazy.
one
Okay.
of the things that you will hear a line 2 say, and you will know that they're in their trauma identity, I'm just a hard worker. I'm just working hard. That's it. Gonna throw that out there.
I'm gonna go question all the line twos in my
Yes.
life now.
So then we have the third line, and that potential trauma identity is known as the anarchist. Shocking, I know, right? It's about causing havoc and just blowing things up, being non-committal. You will being the martyr, right? It the tagline for that 3 is I am a rebel who cannot be tamed.
I was like chaos.
Yeah, chaos, which is the shadow of gate 3 is chaos. And that is my son. I know that very well.
It's like Tasmanian, the devil
Oh
just
yeah,
like
it's
creating a
oh,
tornado of madness behind, right?
oh my god, it's insane how deeply you can go with these. So then we have line 4, and that potential trauma identity is being an extrovert. It is needing to have external validation by being a people person. I don't, again, right? And we
Like,
also,
why don't they like me? What did
right?
I do wrong? What did I say
Exactly.
wrong? Am I
Right.
unlikable?
Right. What do I have to do to get them to like me? I will do whatever it takes to get that person, people, whatever, to like me.
Oh, and add a repelling aura to that. Do you know how confusing that is?
Oh my God.
Anyways, continue.
Okay. So then we have the 5th line, which the potential trauma identity is known as the fixer.
Ooh.
Always using their energy to fix everybody else's problems so that they can be liked. And also, it's to avoid their own. If I'm fixing everybody else, I don't have to touch my own stuff because
Oh,
I'm
that's
so
wild.
busy fixing everybody else.
I was gonna say that it gives like exhausted mom energy.
Oh my God, right? Yeah.
Right? It's just like I need to take care of everyone else. What is self-care? That's not a
Oh.
concept. What's
And,
that? Who's she?
right? And then of course we have the backstage manager. You know, we are afraid to shine our light because there is a part of us that does deeply fear rejection. And we would rather just do what other people want us to do instead of being rejected because that's our comfort zone. But in order to grow, we have to get out of that comfort zone and we have to jump on stage.
I was
We
gonna say,
have
I hope everybody's listening and jotting down which is their lines because this is so good.
to. So yeah, so we take a look at that.
Right. So
And
we
again,
looked at, so for anyone who's like joining us late, what we did
yeah,
is we were looking at our trauma identity, correct? And that
yes,
can be found in the line of your moon
your
and
conscious moon. Yeah,
your
that's
conscious
the
moon right here. That's why I keep pointing over here
yeah,
to
and
people to look.
that's that's that trauma identity. That's kind of spice. You can take a look at your unconscious moon and
Oh,
look at
so that's
that
this
line.
way. Hmm.
And what I love about that is that my unconscious moon line is a 2, right?
Hmm.
And our unconscious side is our body side. How often I have pushed my body to the limit to prove that I can do that. I'm a hard worker. I'll just keep it's wild. Like when you get deep into it, I would invite, if people want to split their charts and see what they are on their unconscious side and see how that works with that line, that unconscious moon line. Because I'm a splenic projector on my unconscious side. And man, if I don't get that if my body doesn't get that recognition or that invitation, I will work 20 times as hard to get it from you. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh
wild. I'm like, okay, hold on.
yeah.
Hold on. Okay, because this is something that I've been kind of sort of playing with. So for people who are like, what is she talking about? The thing that makes your body graph a body graph is you know that there's a conscious side and an unconscious side,
Yes.
which makes you up. Maureen is talking about teasing those two apart and
Yes.
seeing what you are. So, for example, I want you to do me. I'm a reflector unconsciously,
Ooh.
actually, consciously and
I
unconsciously. So,
love that. I love that.
I
Okay.
don't know what it means. So, like, what does that mean? I wait 28 days? Like, what? And I have a unconscious line 1 in the moon. So, what does that mean?
Hmm. Okay, so I'm feeling very much that you can your body really needs time to kind of feel into the environment and feel safe. Because if it doesn't feel safe, it's going to start doing that one line over analyzing thing. My body doesn't feel safe. Why doesn't it feel safe? What's wrong? What about this? Am I here? Over and over and over and over again, right? Because that reflector energy is, right? It's coming out. So if your body is that reflectorness, you really want to give yourself grace when it comes to making decisions. Does this feel good in my body? Is there
Mhm.
any place in my body when I make a decision that hurts? Right? Like if you're
I was like,
trying to,
lower back aches are
right?
my spirit animal.
Okay, that's anger. That's literally anger. That's what that means. What is your body screaming at you for? What are you not listening to?
Wild.
So this is where for you, I would invite you to tap into your cognition
Yeah,
and
inner vision,
your tonal resonance.
smell.
Okay. What smells make you feel good?
Yes, I was just talking about
Yeah,
this.
what
To me,
smells your
like
body like,
where I want to be. Like if a
yes.
place smells off, like my body literally doesn't want to be there. It's
Yep.
like get me out of
And
here. Like
so honor
something is
your body.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honor
and if
your
it
body.
smells good, I'm like, let's just hang out here. Let's lounge here. This is
Mhm.
good. This feels nice. Okay.
So, interesting side note.
Oh my God, tell me.
When
I'm
you're
here.
trying to sell your house, realtors will tell you to
Hmm.
bake cookies so that smell reminds people of home. How many how many of us probably have reflector bodies, right? That coming into that home, feeling that safety and feeling comfort, right? When a realtor can make the house feel like a home, it's quicker, it's easier to sell. So,
I was gonna say, movie theaters do that with the popcorn smell.
oh my god, yeah, and so do when you go to Vegas, all of the casinos do that.
With popcorn?
It, no, silly. Oh my God. No, but I know the Aria does. Like they'll pump in smells and it'll be like, oh, what's that? Oh, oh. And it kind of like if you like the smell, you're gonna stay and you're gonna spend more money. Right? That's
Oh,
something to be
that's
said. There's all different ways that
oh my gosh.
Vegas Vegas does things, and that's
Uh,
one of the things that they do.
oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay, so going back to the things, because we did the moon part. Like,
Yes,
so the moon is our trauma identity. What was
correct.
the next thing you look at?
So then what I do is I go to my unconscious Mars, which is my core wound,
Okay.
60.4. Now,
Okay.
for me, it's a little bit different because my core wound and my radiance sphere in the gene keys are the same, 60.4. So I know from gate 60, I have the full 360 channel, right? Super fun. So fun. So fun. Um, I want to take a look at the shadow of that gate 60, which is limitation. Where am I holding myself back? Now, one of the things I do is I want to take note of whether or not that center is defined or undefined. Because I
Ooh.
feel like if that center is
Same.
defined,
So right here
which
for
I
me.
have,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to feel it more, right? Like I absolutely always feel the pressure to move through my limitations no matter what. I have to break free, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually. There's always that pressure to push and to keep going. And it is a lot of times, even if I'm exhausted, that 4 line will tell me to keep going. Just keep going, keep going. People need this from you. You need to do this for people.
Well then.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going.
So then what we do is I take a look, then I go back to your conscious side and I take a
Okay.
look at Daddy Saturn.
Okay.
Because Daddy Saturn,
Saturn right here.
40.2.
I was gonna say I know the symbols for the zodiac stuff because of
Yeah.
Sailor Moon. So I had to think, who's Sailor Saturn's sign? I was like, okay, it's that symbol.
So in this placement in the shadow,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you sabotage and punish yourself.
Ooh.
With gate 40 there, I will oftentimes punish myself by isolating, feeling like I have to do everything alone. That I have to, with that 2 line, I have to work harder at everything. And I have to do it alone because it's my gift. I have to do it alone. I can't let anybody else help me. Then they're going to know how easy it is for me. And then they're going to want me to do more work. And So I literally punish myself by isolating from other people and not letting people in. So I was about to go to like 10 different places.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, well then.
And then the funny thing is, my gate 40 is in my undefined ego center. In the conditioned, the unhealthy state, I am always trying to prove my worth. I
Mm-hmm.
have told people I am an independent woman and I don't need a man. So I'm absolutely going to do everything alone because that's the image that I think people want from me. I have to do that. I can't say, you know what? Actually, I really would love a partner. Like in that shadow, in that conditioning, I can't say that because that makes me weak.
You have to
Oh
put
yeah.
up that front.
Yeah. And then once we can move through this self sabotage of the conscious Saturn, we
Mm-hmm.
look at Pluto. I love looking at both of them.
So
Oh, did you
Pluto
have a
on the
question?
conscious, right?
Both. I love both. I don't
You love
discriminate. I
both.
love both.
Okay. I think my question was from the previous one, which was your Mars. So the
Okay.
line 4 that you were saying, that is
Mhm.
the same way that you did the breakdown before, right?
Yes,
Like line
ma'am.
1 through 4. Okay.
Yep.
That's the clarification point. Okay. Amazing. Now let's look at your Pluto.
My 57, right? Our Pluto is here to show us our truth and show us who we can transform into once we stop making ourselves suffer through our Saturn placement. Gate 57 for me says to trust my intuition. When I can fully be okay and admit that I want to be with people and that I don't want to do this alone, my intuition and my knowing gets so much stronger and it brings people to me. And when I can trust my intuition, when I roll with it, things just start happening. All of a sudden, people are listening to me like I know what I'm talking about. Like, what? Oh, that's right. I'm 45. I forgot. Sorry. I forgot I might actually know some things because I get so stuck in that shadow, right? So we take a look. I have line 3 and line 5. I cannot tell you how many times I have thrown away these intuitive insights and these beautiful ideas because I I was not only, I want to say it right. Like it's almost a little embarrassing, but not really. And like really trying not to cry.
I was going to say, if it would it help if you not looked at yours and looked at mine?
Oh no, 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 no. No, it's okay. I don't mind.
Okay, because yes,
Um
I'm like, it can depersonalize. That
oh
is an
no,
option.
no, I love it. With the line 3 there, I have self-sabotaged so many
Ooh.
business ideas because my line 5 and my unconscious side
Mhm.
said, "You actually need to fix and clean up all this other stuff. Don't listen to what you have to say.
Oh.
Don't do what you wanna do. Do what every you have to do everything for everybody else. Your problems, your traumas can wait."
Back
So
burner.
oh, yeah. So now I have kind of stopped listening to that voice and kind of done the thing where I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna say that weird thing. I'm gonna say the thing. I'm gonna let my intuition guide me, and the right people are gonna find me, and the wrong people are gonna find their way out." So that's kind of how I use a little bit of the trauma trail to look at shadow.
That was mind blowing.
Thank you.
I hope everyone else felt that, because I was like, talk about like taking a walk through your trauma
Mhm.
trail using your human design
Yeah.
chart. That was absolutely brilliant. So,
Thank you.
friends, I hope you are blown away by Maureen. So, Maureen, let us know what you're up to, where people can find you, and I'm going to throw your links in so people can be like, do me.
Okay, so I have actually just launched a Patreon. The second tier is walking the wheel for the entire year. I am going to do the whole wheel all year. I'm basically teaching people human design with some shadow and gene keys for $1 a day.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yes, and every week, every 6 days, you get another workbook, you get video trainings, and we're gonna do it for the entire year, and I am so excited about that because I love teaching people about human design through story. And I have a story for like almost every gate. And I feel like if we can tell the story and have people experience the energy of those gates, it clicks in. It clicks because
Ah.
you're learning all different ways. You're learning visually, right? You're listening to my audio, you have the workbook, and you're literally moving about the world through the energy of that transit. So I really feel
Oh,
like
wow.
it's
Yeah.
going to be absolutely profound for the people who join me. And I love a good workbook and I love a good presentation. So I'm
Of
really
course.
jazzed to be able to do this.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
I have a stand store for some of my digital offers. That's stand store slash Maureen Web 418, I think. And my
Or we
website,
can just, yes,
yeah,
we have your website up.
yeah.
We can
And
find
oh my God,
everything
just
through there.
let's hook up on Instagram. Let's have a conversation. Like, oh my God, ask me a question. I can't help myself. I cannot. I just
She's
cannot.
absolutely delightful. That's how she showed up on the show. Is I'm
Yeah.
like, "Hi, you have no idea who I am, but I
And I
know
was like,
of you.
sweet.
I know of you."
Oh,
This is
I was so down.
I was like calling out the line too. It's like, "Hi, invitation."
Yes.
Right? Come hither. So, now that brings us to someone else who's been just like in the wings, probably chomping at the bit, like, I can't wait to nerd out with Maureen. So, we all know and love our amazing Danny. So, Danny, are you ready? We're going to tag team out.
We are ready. Maureen,
Well,
that was thrilling. I was so in the now that I almost grasped I grasped everything you said. I've almost got, you could quiz me and I think I would get an 80
I love
or
it.
better. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was in that now. I was like, oh my God, she's adding color to my knowledge. This is good. Keep talking. The lady's talking. It was really good. So
Thank you.
what an interesting thing, because gene keys,
Yeah.
just sort of talking in larger pictures, right?
Mhm.
Design and everything.
Yeah.
That's me announcing, by the way. I'm not supposed to say that. Oops. Um, I noticed that Gene Keys, I love Richard Rudd's stuff. He
Mhm.
colorized in great, amazing. I'm about 15 years older than you. An amazing Technicolor
Yes.
to date myself. All of the gates, and then
Mhm.
that little 3-part process that would follow a 6-line thing. He basically followed. He's like, hey, why don't I add a 6-line thing to a story for every gate? And it
Mhm.
suddenly opened up a brand new window to do, a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
You know, way to do it. So I just thought that was I always think that's great. And so when you take the gene keys and add it to the backbone, because so I can tell you listen to Raw. I heard you talking. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
she listens. She's a junkie. She's a junkie. Oh, the poor thing. Yeah, there's the backbone, and then there's the gene keys. Is what I've always seen. When I looked at, because I went through the whole gene keys. I'm like, this is amazing. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
At the very end of the gene keys, I remember I was like, I'm not expected to transcend all of these things, am I?
Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that to myself because it was about 10 years ago when I did it, and I was like, as long as I don't actually have to transcend these things, I get to live with them, then I'm good.
Mm.
Yeah. So what did you find first? You found human design first or gene keys first?
Oh, the human design found me in 2018, and I told it to go pound sand
Right, me too.
when I learned as an Aries, a triple Aries, that I had to wait to respond. I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
like,
I didn't like that neither.
no, boo boo. That's not how I
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Joke's on me. I really need to.
Yeah. That would make you a good cop. The
That's okay.
responders would be great cops. I say send the responders out with a couple of manifestors here and there and some, we sprinkle it in the way that would
Oh
be
my God.
great.
That would be so much fun if
Yeah.
we could have like if we could literally do human design and just break that down for law enforcement. Oh my God, it would be
Oh
so much
God,
better than what it
yes,
is.
yes.
Don't
Hey,
even get me started. Don't even get me
well, I already
started.
know. I heard you just sort of talking. I get it. And so, it's really funny when we look at that because all of our professions in the world, all of them need their nine-centered upgrade. So I want to stay in the big picture zone for a little while because before
Mhm.
we even get to your chart, just this whole movement, the movement from the 7-centered to the 9-centered, this capacity of ours, which we're going to talk about at some point on the show for self-reflective consciousness, that's far, far beyond what the 7-centered being could have had in this genetic, what would you call it? I mean, this genetic need to move beyond cooperation into communion and to find that spirit that feels abundant. These
Oh,
things are needed inside of us, right? And to empower direction right through your open G center, right? To empower that right up through the 2 and find a direction towards beauty and work towards it. That's like this master keynote that goes through the whole body graph. 55 picks up at 14 to 2, and then it goes straight up and it contributes its communion through 1 and 8. It's unique. Notice
mm,
that's all individual stuff. That's
yeah.
straight up in because the whole body graph is there to serve the individual circuitry. It's what I've come to find out. I didn't,
Mm.
at a very unique individual level, but cops, imagine the 9-centered cop.
Yeah, I
The
was
9-centered cop doesn't write a lot of tickets.
no,
No, doesn't
not at
want
all.
to either. Doesn't even like
No.
it. It's no fun. Would rather help, like along the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
after my coffee. After my coffee. Don't
sure.
don't call me before my coffee.
What's the scoop with you guys in donuts? That's not actually true, is it?
No, I used to joke around and tell people I was the bagel
Okay, there you
police
go.
because I couldn't.
There you
I'm
go.
I'm a savory girl. I'm not a sweet girl. Like, just give me a bagel and coffee. That's all I
Yeah.
need.
Savory is so good. That's awesome. I loved hearing you talk. I
Oh,
love you, man. This was, I
thank
saw
you.
that energy pouring out, being like amazing. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, she's a little natural talent. Oh, she can't help it. Oh, this is great.
You're making me blush again.
Well, it's
Thank
just
you.
you got enough years in and it just started
Thank
pouring out what to do, you know? So not to mention I'm wicked partial towards us two fours. It's just one of those things. It's
Oh, yeah. I think we see each other on a level that nobody else does.
absolutely. Yeah, pulling up the chart. Staying on the last topic though, this
Okay.
movement, how do you see it? How do you see it coming through in the world? You yourself, where are you? You're 2 hours back, I think, right? Oh, Sedona, you said.
Yes. Yes.
So you're out in Sedona, where do you see this 7 to 9 centered movement? Because the old way is gripping, it still grips our language, like there's no tomorrow,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, grips our phraseology, it grips how we teach. It's still there. It's so implanted, but I say the cracking of that ceiling is coming in the form of so many people know that they don't like it, even if they can't even name it, they just know. As
Yeah.
soon as so therefore, as soon as they see what's right, they'll gravitate towards it easily. You
Oh.
know. So how do you think we're doing, just as it relates to human movement? Because that's what we're in it for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Make the humans move, win, get it right. You know, wake everyone up. Let's live. We're not supposed to be here.
So I really think that right now, we as a collective are still very much in a mindset of limitation.
Mm,
And when we do take a look at the transits, Pluto is still in gate 60. We still have that shadow
mm,
of limitation until January 30th, I believe, when Pluto goes into gate 41. So I feel like right now we very much are feeling this, like, it almost feels like putting 10 pounds of, like, or 5 pounds of poop in a 10-pound bag, right? It's like
right, right.
something has to give. Oh my God. Oh my God. What do we do? And we're searching everywhere for it. And it feels very much like as Pluto moves into that gate 41, that it's like there's going to be like a snap. And that's how I feel it in my body. Like, all of a sudden, we're going to be like, oh my God, we are so much more powerful than our limitations. Why don't
Mm,
we go experience what it is like to live instead of holding back because we are afraid? I feel like when we truly do sit into that nine centeredness, we allow life to be the experience it wants to be. We
mm.
allow the abundance of spirit. We allow all of those things to actually come into our life because we know that everything is happening for us and not to us.
Absolutely. And with us, it's happening with us. We're in
Yes,
cooperation with
yes,
it big time. Yeah, we're with it. Hey, I'm
yes.
with it, baby. I'm with it. Yeah. Okay. So how do you think we're doing? I'm saying I think we've reached my own personal opinion, and I'll speak for, around here,
Mhm.
maybe 3.5 to 4.5% penetration of people knowing they know that something is, they want more, they know that it's there. Maybe even 5%. I say there's 5% of the men and women out there,
Mhm.
what do you think, that know that there's more? No, there is the right way and we're missing something. They know it,
You
meaning
know,
they're open for it, and it might even be 30% for all I know, but I'm going 5.
okay, I like your number, because it does feel like those that are ready are absolutely going to be elevating.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when you do think about it, like, how many billions of people are on the
yeah.
planet? 5% is nothing to shake a stick at. Like, it's a large amount of
That's a
people.
that's a lot. 1% gets the job done, so 5%,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, is the
So
thing.
I agree. I think it's about 5%. And when I don't want anybody to, like, worry, am I part of it? Like, if you're open to this type of experience, if you're watching, if you are,
Right.
you're going to be that 5%,
If you're even thinking that question, you're already there, right?
right?
Yeah.
100%. I love it. Yeah.
100, yeah, no doubt. So chart-wise, moving on to out of the nine-centered way. I
Yes,
love the
dear.
nine-centered way. Yes, my love.
Mhm.
So I noticed we have some similarities in our chart. It's like kind of funny. Yeah. So I want to ask first, do you have yours is in opposition to mine. Yours up at the top. So we're going to
Yes.
go channels and just center
Beautiful.
channel some chaosy fun stuff.
Let's do
Um
it.
so um 6447. You have the same
Yes.
configuration I do. In fact, it's in your nodes. And I knew it
Mhm.
would be. There's consciousness and rulership in your nodes. It's so good. Um so my 64 is the one that's unconscious.
Oh,
So whenever the unconscious 64 unconscious confusion would come in, it would freeze me in place because it was so heavy because it's on, right? It's in a
yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I can remember just being struck with it's too much, too much. And then when I realized, oh, it's the unconscious gate it keeps showing up. That's why it's too
Mhm.
much. It's because I don't know it shows up.
Yeah.
And but yours is reversed. You have a conscious 64 along with an unconscious, but the conscious helps you deal. So consciously, it's like, no, you can see the confusion from a mile away ish at times,
Mhm.
if you're looking, that is. Um, but then what to do with it? This oppressive nature that I
Mm.
don't know what gets more joy, a 47 realizing something, you know what I mean, or any of the other gates,
Ooh.
right? Or a 51 leaping. I'm not sure what gets more joy, right?
Oh,
Because it's so the realizations you can sit in that and muse with that. Have you noticed this channel allows you to just daydream and go away and say, yeah, I'm busy and not even realize what you just so much stuff goes through. There's no rule, rhyme, or reason to the
mhm.
film clips we can put together through this channel, and it's constantly happy to be
Yeah.
thinking way too much, according to everyone else. What do you think of that?
I lovingly joke that this channel is the bane of my existence.
Yeah, uh, I would agree.
Because for a very, very long time, I didn't enjoy the confusion because I felt like I needed control. And until I gave myself the permission to not know the answer and to allow myself to revel in the what ifs,
Hmm.
this channel would just agitate me. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm open. I am open to receive whatever needs to be for me to move through this process. And I'm not going
And
to judge myself.
yeah, and
I'm
an
still,
acceptance
yeah,
comes
just
in,
I'll
right? An
just be like,
acceptance.
okay, that's cool. So
So
that
your acceptance is, don't worry, I'll get it. I'll get it. My
I
acceptance is,
always do.
oh, I'm shockingly confused at the moment. Apparently I'm about to get smarter, is what I always tell myself. Oh, I'm about to get smarter. I don't know
I
where.
love it.
And then on the not self side, that's always still there. It's like, dude, don't you think you should be a little afraid? Don't it's a little crazy. Maybe you should park or something, whatever. It's like,
Mhm.
no, probably not. Just stick with it. Cool. So you have totally gotten your version of people telling you think too much. In fact,
Yes.
that got you fired at the police academy over there.
Oh, you know it did.
Yep. Oh, I just realized that now. That's funny.
Well, yeah, I actually the last like I did have one like kind of cush job at the police department. I worked at headquarters for a little bit.
Mhm.
Literally, that I got dumped
Yeah,
because
you
of
think too much.
that. Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
thinking too much, and you're too nine centered. Just get the f out, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
That's funny. That's funny. You have universal love of things. We don't know about that lady. Um, so
Right?
that's just too
Can
funny.
you be nice to people? Talk to them like they're real humans? What?
Right. Right. Exactly. So, anyways, that must have hurt, by the way. So that hurts. If you carry even one of if you carry any kind of nine-centered awareness, you carry one of the vessel gates, this universality, and not to
Mhm.
mention you explained how conditioned it is.
Yeah.
Conditioning's gorgeous. Don't you just love leaping into the fire? It's not your gig. But when it's right and the response says jump, It's extra. It's extra good. It's juicy. That's what my 25 does for me. It's juicy. It's like, oh, this is good. Hey, the woods are on fire and we're barely making it out. I'm like, wow, that was exciting.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Like there is definitely something there that is kind of exciting and fun.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I married my mom and dad too. So, so moving down to which channel you want to do next? You pick. You got
Oh,
two.
the 360. It's my fave.
Okay, so I got that gate 60 and I'm living with it all the time. It's third line. It's miserable. It's all right. So this mutation that's making something new out of something old, technically hanging on to some of the root, never jettisoning the roots of the old, but then the crazy stuckness and the flurry of confusion that is gate 3, right? So how have you lived this out? Gate, because it's conscious, so you're aware of it. You have to put your dang game face on with this thing. Not to mention, what was gate 3? It's got this amazing, by the way, you only have one of your gates with an introduction line, meaning a life process.
Oh,
In
okay.
your I noticed in your incarnation cross, all the
Yeah.
rest of them are just start straight up, boom, start straight up in the process.
Did
So
you
this,
enjoy my incarnation cross? Do you think it's funny? Because I
uh,
do.
yeah. No, I love your incarnation cross because I came to understand the laws when Ra told me, long ago. He said, "Dude, the law is generated.
Hmm.
The law is generated.
Yeah.
It's generator business. It's not super esoteric neither. I mean,
Hmm.
it can be, and it can be spiritual. It can be all these things when you get into the upper trigram. I'm sure all blah blah blah. It's great, but it's
Yeah.
really just practical, responsive stuff. Nine-centered, responsive communion
Yeah.
that will set the values and create the law and survive the tribe. Period,
Hmm.
and make sure them babies get good. We've got to have happy, healthy children that have good food, right?
Yes.
And healthy education. So I love what this says here. This is great. This immaturity that
Hmm.
do you know the line? This unrestrained acceptance of guidance.
Yes.
Oh, you freak! I love it. So this has made you a freak sometimes. This whole mutation channel has, frankly.
Yeah. And for a very long time, that really bothered me.
Mm.
But now I embrace it because it's just who I am. And it's so much harder to lie to yourself and lie to
Yes,
other people than it is to just be who
be
you
yourself.
are. And again, I feel like the older I get, the more I'm just like, "Look, this is who I am. You can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter to me."
Yep.
So
I noticed when we put our charts together, we make 9 and 0, and we have these two excellent compromises. Your 5 because I have the whole channel, and my 60 because you have the whole channel.
I love
Have,
that.
have you? So I want to move on to the next.
Yes.
Well, no, speak a little more about this 360. Speak a little more about what this has been in your life. This third gate that says, "I'm totally confused until ordering." Suddenly, what happens? Like Bewitched did her nose, and suddenly,
Pretty much that's like literally how my move to Sedona went. I didn't know how I was going to get housing. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just had to trust the process. And it actually all worked out in the end. What I am embracing about the 360, especially because it's my conscious and unconscious sons, I live this every single day, is that it's okay not to know. It is okay to not be perfect right away. Gate 3, difficulty at the beginning.
yeah,
I can have a beginner's mindset and find joy and still be okay. It's okay that I don't have to be number 1 all the time. I don't have to be perfect. I can
right,
enjoy the messiness of the process of all of everything that I do, and it
mm,
doesn't make me a bad person.
right, right.
That's how I do it.
Moana has that 3 in the fourth line, and she's 4-1 fixed fate there, and
Mm.
so she is the cross of mutation.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's like I love how the fourth lines give it their name. And then what was 50? Actually, for your son, we won't go to that yet. So you've been stuck in your limitation. Mine's unconscious as well. Gate
Mhm.
60 says I'm limited. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
They both say I'm stuck. One says I'm stuck and I need to get out of here. That's the generated gate, more so. And 60 just says I'm stuck. Flush me down the toilet already. I'm sick of being stuck. And it's unconscious, so it would show up in your life. It would just show up. And I'm guessing of all the gates that would lead to an incredible depression, it would be this channel. So these
Yes.
depression times, you go back in your life and you look at those down times, you read this into it along with shadow work and stuff.
Yeah, it's a game changer when you can accept that.
Yeah.
It really is. I don't often get depressed or melancholy, and when I do, I embrace it now and don't think that I'm a terrible person, because there's something there for me, whether I know it or not. So it's really about accepting all of the bits of the 360, whether they be positive or negative, or yeah, I want it all. I want to experience it all.
Well, you have these 6 gates of melancholy in your body graph. There's plenty to work with.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Ask and I shall receive.
So last channel, being driven. I love you guys. Just being driven. It's sheer instinct, by the way. If I ask you to like totally describe it all in a moment, sometimes you will, but mostly it's all just there by instinct. It's that part of that instinctual awareness, stream that we have. And it's unconscious, right? So did you know you were driven? Did you doubt it? Did it seem like I am driven? Maybe I'm not that good because of that open ego. Did you get some of that trip going on?
Oh, yeah. Like, welcome to my teens and 20s.
Right.
Yeah.
But now it shows up as like I'm doing the thing and I'm driven to do the thing. Oh, I can handle my pressure. Oh, the pressure comes out evenly.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared of failure, but no, it stopped. I'm back. Right. That's how that goes.
That is I'm like, I was trying to find the words to describe it. I'm like, but that is like chef's kiss. Perfect. The way you described it. Yeah. Oh.
So you live that, but mostly this drive is something that is now sustaining in you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What is that like? Give me the cycle of this drive thing. I mean, you're a generator, so technically it's just always on in that one sense, but sustains, but nothing sustains permanently. So does this thing have a cycle, or is it just sort of go to sleep at night?
If I am working on something that I truly believe and am passionate about, that drive can sustain me for months.
Okay.
Yep. But when you make me do something I don't want to do, I'm like, no, I have no desire.
Good generator. That's what I say to all my new clients too. As soon as they get a thing, I'm like, good generator. And they always find that good. Yeah. So this tribal channel of being driven, just to sort of put a finesse on for people like to, hear that the whole thing. So 32 says continuity. I got an eye out for what's going to fail, what's not going to fail, what's conservative, what needs to look at how conservative we don't need to be. 32 will never be accused of being not conservative. All it can do is regulate. Well, then we'll be less conservative at this time. That's its version of going out on a limb. I would say, you tell me, does that sound right?
Yes. Okay. 100%.
And 54 is just, I find all these 3 gates on this side can keynote all of each other all together at times. So there's an absolute straight up joy in the passion that will come out of 54 to rise up, even though you don't have a gate 58. And the struggle is like, I'm struggling to rise up. I'm moving the thing. This is not the right path for me, is 54's energy, or this is. And it's not a knowing, a mental thing, obviously. It's a chemistry and a response in you.
Yeah.
We pure generators, I'm a pure generator too, manifesting generator. It's so scary, I think, so in certain ways. But staying on channels is to finish the 5432. This drivenness, if you've got this channel in your body graph, allow it to drive you to do the thing that will basically push you into some kind of career and movement towards things that help lead your material way.
Yeah.
Is that
And I completely agree with you. And I have noticed the more I allow this unconscious channel to move me, it's absolutely moving me in the right direction. When I don't resist it, it always takes me exactly where I need to go.
and this is where, because 54 holds the alpha and the omega in line 4,
Mhm.
and it's the one thing that is new as it relates to the I Ching, and it's a very strong spiritual path. So even though this on its surface, if you're talking to old man 5432 at the gas station, he's speaking in a material voice, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But as soon as you awaken to your design and you see how it drives you, now you speak with your spiritual voice, yet driven. And it's because it is still spirit, right?
Mhm.
In my opinion, so it's all spirit. 55 leads the day, the spirit. We need to have our spirit feel full.
Yeah.
Um, so cool. Let's. What do you want to move on to next? You got a favorite? Because I noticed something cool in your variables. It's wicked technically geeky.
Uh,
If you want,
I'm down for your technical geekiness.
yay. So pick my brain. You said. Is that something you figured to say, or did that just come out when you said, "Oh," because Moana was asking, "Do you want me to stay on or not?" And you realized quickly, "Oh, no, 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 stay, 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 pick my brain." And I was like, the open throat spoke. Did that words pick my brain? Did you just that just come
They
out, or
just
have
came
you?
out of my head. They just came out of my mouth.
Well, think about what rightness is. So you've looked a little bit into rightness and leftness by now, or
Mhm.
a lot. You've looked probably a lot into it for all I know. That rightness is just there to be pulled from. It's a mystical place. It doesn't know anything. It's like, I see I'm here. I don't know. And then someone asks something of it. This is the
Mhm.
brain. Pick my brain. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, this girl is awake to her stuff, man. But and accidentally, because you're a second line, you don't even know what you know if you really know. It's like
Yeah.
it shows up. Um, so anyways, this variable, see, the thing is, this is a challenge, and one of two things was going to happen. The
Mhm.
3 or 4 or 5 or 6% that would get this wake up to it, and the rest suffer from it until they finally wake up to it, and we'll help them. But it's in the changing zone. Have you looked at the 16 grid variable grid?
I have.
It's so sexy when you stare into it for a couple hours. When that happens one day, it'll finally happen one day if you haven't done it yet. And suddenly you'll see patterns showing up, and you see the changing grid. It's the
Mm.
center square,
Yeah.
whereby all the other variables, the other 12, would circle all the way around the outside. And
Mhm.
so you're into that changing zone that moves us towards either the mutation or towards where humanity's path is, to go run concurrent with the mutation. And
Yeah.
it's a difficult place because the right facing brain says, I got all the details. I studied, I did all the stuff. And the left facing strategic personality that wants to roll up his sleeves and make something work with all of that, if it demands the brain to strategically like recall all the data that it's right, that the leftness of the personality is trying to put through, it will
Yeah.
torture the being. It will
Mhm.
torture the man or woman carrying this thing.
Yeah.
And that's just the dependent variable. I'll move down to the independent variable in a minute, the
Mhm.
nodes. But with these two things facing each other, look at it like the potential is to have a little furly brow that goes murr. If you just look at it, just point them down a little bit and it would make an emoji. Those two
Mhm.
pointing at each other. That's a not self, strong, conditioned, seven-centered old way potential to
Yeah.
show up in any old kind of way when you see these two things pointing at each other. And but I just noticed you're like, my brain, it does stuff. And my personality likes strategically waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. It
Sorta, somehow. That
it
seems
is
to be where
a
you're at now.
yeah. I remember reading about this and like Ra was like,
Right.
sorry, this is
Yeah.
gonna suck. And I'm like, of course. It's
Right,
great.
right, right.
Thanks. Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Thanks, bro. You did me a solid, buddy.
Yeah, you just gotta embrace it. Like,
So now the other two are the opposite, obviously.
yeah.
This is why it's in the changing zone. It's all mixed up. Anyways, it's really a mixture. But so this view is right, ergo, focus in on. So when you were in Chicago, I think that's where you said you were, focus on this, focus on that, focus on this, and all you could
Yes.
see was everything else around it. And if you were awakening to yourself in any old kind of way, then everything around it would be like, this doesn't seem congruent with our nine-centered movement. It doesn't seem congruent with where our genome really is making us go, would like us to go so that we can all be happy. Does that sound right? Because you would have seen all around it. You couldn't focus in on the one thing. Just focusing on one thing.
Oh
Just
no.
do it this way. What's one thing? No, can't do. The peripheral view sees everything else, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I see that too, and that too. And then to focus on one thing becomes murder. It
Oh yeah.
becomes murder. Yeah. So
It
here's your strategic brain, personality that says, I'll follow the balls on the guy who's about to con you out of $5 on the street, right? With the 3 cups in the ball. And the blurry vision of the periphery of you is like, I think I followed. I didn't follow it. Just take my $5. Does that sound right?
oh
Even
my
though,
god. I feel like you may have lived with me in
oh,
Chicago.
no, we're all one, hon. We're all one. I was there. And not to mention, you and I were cracking, however this works. I don't know how this works. I'm a second line like you are. What do I know? But you and I were cracking the consciousness field.
Yeah.
There's no reason in the world that spooky action afar that Einstein noticed wasn't happening with us. Boom, one at the same time, right? You take two atoms, you split it
Yeah.
apart, whatever the thing is, and you tickle one over on one end, and the other one moves the same way. That's a light year away. Yeah. So that was us. We didn't know. Cheers.
Na zdrowie.
Hmm. Yep. No, you're in Sedona, and that's good. So that's what, and then this, you being the one who's observed. This is almost like a torture for you because your natural state is quit looking at me.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh my god, yes.
Yes.
I'm like, could people just stop?
Just quit looking at me. Right. And there you are. By the way, people see the strategic. Wherever the strategic is what they see. Oh, this gal's got her viewpoint all straight together, meaning you're head on straight because they see that strategic personality.
Mhm.
They see that movement. Oh, this gal's gonna move good in the world. Let's get her moving. You know what I mean? So come on, move, soldier. Sure
Yeah.
thing, sure thing, Captain. That's you. You'll do that, right? Um, so
Did you see the text, Danny?
I didn't see
He was in
anything.
his zone, man. You
It was in
can't
the zone. Sorry to
Just jump
disrupt
on.
the fun train, but our guest has to bid us
Oh, do you have to
adieu for the
go?
I
night.
do.
Oh,
And
were
we're
you gonna
actually,
say?
I mean, we're at almost 90 minutes already.
Were you gonna say something?
You were in your flow, bro. I'm not
I
stuck.
know that's the best.
That's why I'm like, no, let the manifestor Kool-Aid man
Just no, you do it.
to
You
the.
you were the right one to come on. Thank you for the impact. It's good enough. But just take my email and email me back your number if you don't mind, and I'll.
Oh, 100.
Yep.
I
I
was gonna
feel
say
like we
it's
could
in
talk
it's
forever.
yeah. You two
I
are
didn't get
gonna
to the
do the thing.
funnest part. There was a fun part I wanted to get to, but I'm saving it.
You know
Okay,
what? Save it for the
I
next
will
time.
send you the things, Danny. Don't worry.
Thank
But
you.
yes, Danny, tag team
Thank you.
out.
Bye,
Thank
bye, Maureen.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
So, everyone, I hope that you were enlightened and entertained and wowed by the amazingness that is Maureen on today's show. So, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your gifts with us.
Oh my, I I'm gonna have to go outside and ground because I am like so like full of like zzz right now. And just thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to speak to you guys. Like my cheeks hurt. I'm smiling so much, my cheeks hurt. So
Oh, that's like the nicest thing a guest could tell us. Like a lot of love goes into every episode, so it would be nothing without the guest's
mm,
vibrance. So you brought your A game and
thank
it
you.
showed.
Thank you so much. Y'all are just thank you.
So go ground, do the
I
things,
will.
and I will bid Maureen adieu to do our announcements. So our announcement is we are wrapping up this series next week, and we have a fabulous guest. It is our very own Moni, and she's going to be sharing an amazing tool slash system modality that she used to transform her life, and we are so excited. So more details will be announced on our Instagram page, so go keep your eyes peeled there. And after that last episode next week for deconditioning, we are going to go back to dropping some knowledge bombs at you, and we're going to be going into definition. Yes, we're going into definition. So, stay tuned for lots of learning coming up after our next week's episode. So, as per usual, if you're watching us live, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And if you're watching us on the replay, we love you so much. And of course, thank you for watching, sharing, subscribing, and we wouldn't be doing this without your eyeballs. So keep them coming, and we love you. Have a wonderful night and take care.